Hello and welcome to a Northwales side-by-side video. I want to touch on the cost of fuel and charging an EV, and it relates to a video I've made earlier on today, which is going to be tagged onto this one, about the lack of fast chargers in North Wales. And it also links onto a video by Tony from EV Carnage, which I'll link in the description. Tony lives in Cornwall, and the town he lives in, like the area I live in, North Wales, is a population of 34,000 people. Now, to get the equivalent population in North Wales, I've picked a postcode area where I live, LL29, which incorporates Llandudno Junction, Conway, Colwyn Bay area. That would give me about the same population. In the summer, that would peak at about 70,000 people with all the tourists, which is about the same for Tony where he lives. And he brought up a point of how many fast EV chargers are in where he lives, and he can only find one. Now, I've done a bit of research now, having watched Tony's video. For the entire LL29 area, there are 2 fast EV chargers. One is reputed to be 160 kilowatt and one is a 50 kilowatt. And they're both, let's have a look. When I can spell, INSTER, Instavolt. Where is the nearest one? The nearest one, from where I am now, is 14 miles away. It'll take me half an hour to get there. That's quite a trek. That's 15 miles. And I know that Instavolt charging station charges 79 pence per kilowatt hour. That is a lot of money to pay for a kilowatt hour. If you've got a 100 kilowatt hour car, what are you there now? You're there for about you're going to be there 45 minutes to an hour if you get full charge. But I've read some reviews on this charging station, and I'm going to put them in the video now. As you've probably just read with the reviews, nobody's getting the 150 kilowatts. They might top out at 70 and then they drop. So they're not very happy about that. Yet, since I did my bit of research, some of these reviews are saying at certain times in the day they're charging 85 pence per kilowatt hour. So the prices are varying at different times in the day. That's expensive motoring. Very expensive motoring. Plus the fact there's only 2 chargers. From where I'm sat here now, how many petrol stations are there close by in my area? Let's press petrol stations. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 petrol stations, and the closest one is 7 miles away from where I am. Yeah, 12 petrol stations compared to 2 EV chargers. I know most of them petrol stations have got a minimum of 4 pumps. They average out at 12 pumps. You're there 5 minutes. 12 cars there for 5 minutes. That's what, 12 times 5. What are we at now? That's 60 cars a pump per hour. Say the station's got 4 pumps. That's 240 cars in an hour that can be refueled against the hour on an EV charger. See where we're going? They cannot charge as many EVs as we can fuel petrol cars. So if you put 100 kilowatts in your car, that's going to cost you minimum of £79. How far is that going to get you? Your manufacturer might say the car will do 300 miles. No, realistically it won't. Realistically, driven at normal speeds, you're probably going to be closer to 230 miles. Giving yourself a little margin to find another EV charger. 79 quid, remember that figure. Margaret and myself went to Cardiff a week Monday ago. And I've got the receipt, or no, Margaret's got the receipt. We put £30 worth of petrol in this Yaris hybrid. When we got to the petrol station, I had quarter of a tank of fuel. I put £30 in it, it filled it up. I did 400 miles on the fuel we put in that car. Cardiff and back. It's 180 miles from our house to Cardiff, 180 miles back. With a bit of running around, we were just shy of 400 miles. But I had, when I got back, over quarter of a tank. I had between quarter and half a tank left in the car on £30, and I was still left with 100 miles. So working the maths out now, if I was spending that £79 I've just put in my EV, which would have only got me to Cardiff, I'd then have to fill it up again to get me back. That's not £79 now, that trip, is it? There and back. It's £158 to go to Cardiff and back in an EV, where I spent £30 in a hybrid GI Yaris Sport to get to Cardiff and back, and I still had 100 miles worth of fuel left. Working on them sums, I've already done 400 miles on £30, so if I put another £30 in, that's 800 miles, and I still haven't spent what I'd have spent one way to Cardiff. Put the extra £19 in, I would have done 1,000 miles on the same amount to do 225 in the EV. If I'd have put the £79 back in it to get home and spent the equivalent on fuel, I would have done 2,000 miles. EVs are so expensive to charge up at public charging points. Horrendously expensive. The only way an EV works is a home charging point and using them locally. They are no good for road trips. They are so inconvenient, totally inconvenient. Where in a petrol car, hybrid car, diesel car, like I just said, from where I am now, 12 petrol stations I could go to and fill up. Take me 5 minutes. I've got 2 fast chargers that are going to take me an hour to charge up. Too inconvenient. Totally inconvenient. They're no good. They're no good for long distance. Like I say, if you can charge them at home, put enough electric in them overnight, do your running around, but they don't work for road trips. Way too expensive to charge them in public charging points. Petrol, diesel or a hybrid for road trips, or even just running around. There's no inconvenience. Lots of petrol stations. Petrol and diesel or hybrid is king, not this con of EVs. On top of the fact EVs are actually more expensive to buy. When the batteries do degrade, you can never ever deny the fact a battery degrades over time. You've now got a £40,000 bill to replace a battery after I don't know, might last 100,000 miles dependent on use. You might get 200,000 miles out of it dependent on use, but all the time you're using that battery, it's degrading and you're getting less and less mileage per charge as the battery gets older. Does the petrol car or the diesel car do that? No. It'll do the same on a tank of fuel at 250,000 miles, 350,000 miles, 500,000 miles as it did the day it was brand new. EVs, no thank you very much. No thank you. I'm not interested in them. And then you've got the fact, if they go on fire, and they do go on fire, I'm also not denying the fact petrol and diesel cars go on fire. Petrol and diesel car fires happen more than EV fires because there's more petrol and diesel cars on the road. But a petrol and diesel car fire is very easy to put out. An EV fire, another story again. And then you can't guarantee it's not going to burst back into flames after you've put it out. Once you put a petrol car out or a diesel car out that's on fire, it's out. It isn't going to go back up in flames. Due to the battery chemistry, that EV could burst back into flames. They're horrendously dangerous, EV batteries, when they go faulty. And they do go faulty. The only safe EV is no EV. That's the only safe EV, is no EV. Just forget them. Don't bother with them. And whilst we're on the fact of what cars to buy and not to buy, never buy a Ford with an EcoBoost engine. Never buy any vehicle from Stellantis. That's all I'm saying. Do your research on EcoBoosts. Do your research on Stellantis products. Pure tech engines. That's all I'm saying. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking. Please consider subscribing. And that's Rant over.